15. Officers caught Primo more than 8 hours after the massacre just 5 miles away. In the car, another rifle. Investigators spent today collecting evidence and clearing leftover items along the parade route. Lizzie Kennedy came back to the scene today. This is the Kennedy family Monday being escorted to safety by heavily armed FBI agents.
My daughter is only 8 and she was screaming, "Please, Mommy, I don't want to die." She screamed, "Please, Mommy, I don't want to die." I'm like, "You're not going to die. We have to go. We have to run."
It was a gruesome scene.
Dr. Lauren Schechter escaped the gunfire and went back to help.
I'm a surgeon. I've worked in trauma. The wounds we saw were military-level wounds. It wasn't the typical civilian handgun wound that you'd see come into the emergency room. These were devastating injuries.
You essentially became a battlefield medic.
Well, we did what we could do with what we had.
While the suspect's motive remains a mystery, police are investigating his disturbing online history.
Certainly seems like there were a lot of warning signs. Did people see those warning signs? Were they missed? Did this slip through the cracks?
You know, unfortunately, I think there are a lot of people who use social media as a way to gain attention. I'd like to focus on the fact, frankly, that this was a gun that was apparently obtained legally, and we need to re-examine our laws.
Primo's uncle Paul says he saw no warning signs.
There's no indication that I've seen at all that would lead up to this.
And Chris is back here with us. Chris, how did police find him, and what was he doing for the 8 hours when he was on the run?
Well, the suspect left the gun behind. That allowed the ATF and others to do a rapid gun trace to help identify where the gun came from. At the same time, the FBI and other investigators were piecing together a video timeline. That gave them an idea of who they were looking for, the vehicle they were looking for. The suspect went to his mother's house nearby and then drove to neighboring Wisconsin and back into Illinois when he was spotted by police, pulled over, and eventually arrested.
Chris Van Cleve, thank you so much. Well, there were hundreds of people here for that parade, and those survivors will forever be traumatized by this shooting. We sat down with one of those witnesses, Natalie Lorenz, who was at the parade with her young family.
What did it sound like? So loud. Not like one shot, like rapid fire all in a row. Bam, 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 bam. Like...
Natalie Lorenz says she, her husband, mother, and 3 young sons had just sat down on the curb to watch the parade when the shooting started.
We got down on the ground as fast as we could, and my husband saw a shooter and was like, "There's a shooter." And then we just got up and started running. I grabbed my youngest son, and my husband had my other 2 kids, and my mom was running with us.
As the family fled, her instinct was to protect her children from the bloodshed all around.
People that had been shot that we were trying to shield the kids from so they didn't see, but they were being taken away to an ambulance. And we just kept walking, like, just trying to get away from there.
It just sounds like such a nightmare.
It was the worst moment of my entire life.
Do you feel like this is sunken in, or you're still in shock?
I feel like I'm still in shock. I feel like I'm still just in complete panic mode. I don't know how to even make sense of this or begin to process this when I just keep thinking that could have been us. How did we survive? Like, why did we survive?
And we have some breaking news. The suspect has just been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. Authorities say more charges will come. And as the nation deals with yet another mass shooting, it's worth noting the similarities between the Highland Park suspect and other high-profiling shooting suspects. CBS's Catherine Harris reports tonight on the warning signs that may have been missed.
New evidence suggests that as early as 2019, the suspect was flagged for an attempted suicide as well as threats of physical violence. While 16 knives were confiscated, local investigators ran into blocks.
There were no complaints that were signed by any of the victims.
The suspects now removed online videos, also glorified mass shootings for digital followers.
How would you characterize the online content?
Ultra-violent.
Former FBI and ATF investigator Scott Sweeto told CBS News there's a digital tsunami coming at investigators.
That's one of the biggest challenges is how do you go through that